Vive la France. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be giving you my review of The French Dispatch, the latest film from Wes Anderson. The French Dispatch is a love letter to journalists set in an outpost of an American newspaper in a fictional 20th century French city that brings to life a collection of stories published in the French Dispatch magazine. So before I give you guys my thoughts on this movie, hit that like button, comment your thoughts on the movie down below, and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future reviews, rankings, all that good stuff. To me, this movie was mostly style over substance, and I'll get into that here in a second, but the story is structured in a way that is very fitting with regards to journalism, because there are different stories that are compiled to make an overall edition of the French Dispatch magazine, and it's very interesting that the movie is kind of broken up into separate stories, each one representing a different story of the actual editorial. And I have to say, of the three main stories in this movie, my favorite is by far the first. It's easily the most emotionally resonant. Like, there's a clear backstory in this individual anecdote, and I feel like it does a really good job of getting the audience emotionally invested in the characters of this story. I also laughed the most during this first story, and it is the longest of the three stories. I really thought this was going to be the main focus of the movie, and it's unfortunate, but the latter two stories of this movie are lacking that heart and emotional pull of the first. In fact, the second story in this movie is actually my least favorite, and that's the one that features Timothée Chalamet. And while he's having a total blast in the role, and you can see it, he arguably gives the best performance in the movie, I would say. This one just lacks the most emotional depth for me. Like, it tended to drag on, and it featured the least interesting characters. And during this, like, you could definitely see Wes Anderson using his trademark feature of using these massive words to try and sound super smart, which he does in every single one of his movies, but here it was just extremely noticeable. It got kind of annoying. And as for the last story of the movie, I will say it's the most ambitious and the most over the top. Like, it doesn't hold back. It really goes for it. It reminds me a lot of the ski sequence in the Grand Budapest Hotel. Like, there's actual animated sequences inserted in this movie, and I thought that was an interesting creative choice. They might have done that because of monetary reasons, like the budget might not have been big enough for them to have certain scenes filmed with actual actors, but I still think it was fairly effective. And it's unfortunate, but there's just an emotional disconnect with a lot of the characters in this movie. And I feel like something that gets in the way of being able to connect with characters is the fact there's such an obsession with having every single shot be perfectly symmetrical. It gets irritating at times, and I know there's a ton of attention to detail, but because of that, it feels very much style over substance. The style being the fact that it's aesthetically pleasing, and it looks like a piece of art, but the substance is lacking because there's no emotional depth or connection with these main characters or the story itself. I will say I admire the vision of Wes Anderson here, as the story does come full circle. It ends on a sweet and delightful note, but the journey to get to the end was devoid of any real emotional stakes or value, in my opinion. I bet if we had more Owen Wilson in this movie, it would have enhanced the overall experience, though, because that man was a scene stealer, and I thought early on he was going to be the main guy moving forward. You'll see if you watch the movie that's not the case fully, but I still love Owen Wilson and everything he does, and his charisma might have made this movie a little bit more enjoyable. But if I'm being completely honest here, I think The French Dispatch would have functioned better as like a 6 to 8 episode miniseries, with each episode focusing on a different story, or perhaps 2 episodes could focus on one story and it could be a 6 episode miniseries. I just feel like this would be a better way to flesh out the characters and the emotions in each individual story. That way it'd be more resonant by the time they come together to comprise and form the actual final entry of The French Dispatch. It would just allow for more time to the audience to get invested, and I feel like this would be a nice branch for Wes Anderson to explore the TV realm. Something on like HBO Max would definitely work, in my opinion. I know it's too late for that because we already got the movie, but I would have loved to go back in time and maybe see this play out as a miniseries instead. This is definitely a sweet movie that has its moments to shine, but overall it just becomes much too style over substance for me and kind of loses sight of the actual characters and emotional investment in the story. I can't really see myself revisiting this one, but I bet major Wes Anderson fans will really dig it and probably love this movie. So overall, I'm going to give The French Dispatch 3 out of 5 stars. I had a decent time with it. It's got its moments to shine, and it does have some issues when it comes to the characters and the actual emotional investment in the movie. It's gorgeous looking, but again, style over substance doesn't always equal a great movie. But that's going to do it for my thoughts on Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch. Definitely hit that like button, comment your thoughts on the movie down below. Is this your favorite Wes Anderson movie? Where would it place among his filmography? Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future reviews coming very soon. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.